Lucky Boys Podcast.
But one of the stories my brother had told me just had me dying, but it also just like opened my eyes to like the struggles that we face now versus the struggles like that our parents face. So it was like my brother, I think, was in third grade or fourth grade. My dad had lost his job due to some like government issues and trying to figure out like citizenship and all these other things. So my dad was unemployed for a little while, and then I think all those things got sorted out, and he needed help finding a job. Tough part is my parents don't speak English. So my brother goes to the bodega on like Prince Street, same bodega that's still there. The dude reads the newspaper, sees an opening for a chef. He circles it, remembers the number. He puts like a quarter or uses the phone and he calls it.
The payphone.
I think payphone, or I forgot what it is.
Well, you got to put a quarter as a payphone.
He did that, or he went home and called something. But he calls the restaurant and goes, hey, I want to apply for this job as a chef, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, come in with your resume. And the two things in that story is like, it's a fourth grader calling to apply for this job. And then my brother was like, shit, I don't know what a resume is. So the dude runs to the library, looks up resume in like the library catalog, figures out what a resume is. He's, this is what a resume is. So my brother writes one down on like loose leaf paper, probably like pen and paper resume. He goes to my dad and goes, Dad, you're going to go to this restaurant at this time and you're going to hand him this paper. And my brother was like, please do your best so you can get this job. And I was just like shocked because I didn't know these stories. Like I knew my brother used to help my parents with like reading contracts and doing all this stuff. But I'm like, man, to like go help my dad find a job and you're in third or fourth grade, like those are the struggles that like, your parents kind of go through. So making that jump to like entrepreneurship, I'm like, man, that's not even a big deal. Like that's not nearly as hard as what my parents had to do, leave their homeland, come over here, not even knowing what to expect, having no resources, no tools. You're just trying to give your kid a better life moving to a new country. And I'm like, I'm worried about going out on my own. I have a safety net, like we were talking about. I can always find another job. What's my parents going to do? Like try to figure out how to get back to China? Like that's even more pressure. Mm-hmm. So after hearing that story, I was like, man, like all these problems that I have they're just easy problems and I can choose my problems. Like my dad couldn't choose those problems. Mm-hmm. He had no choice. So like when I look at like, even how privileged I am as a first generation American, I'm like, man, like let's just do this thing. Like I'm ready to do this thing.
Yeah, it's daunting. It's certainly because there's just no certainty when you're at that position. Everything is uncertain.
Yeah.
And you're living paycheck to paycheck. And I guess the scary part is it's not being able to provide for your kids. And I think every parent shares that fear where they're not going to be able to put food on the table. That's a whole nother ball game than just taking care of yourself, right? That's a whole difference, providing. And as a man, that is essentially what we feel obligated to do, is to protect our family and provide for them. And when you can't do either, you just, it's just a part of you that just feels incomplete, and I have a strong admiration for immigrant families, not just Asians, but in general, that are able to figure it out and create a better life. And that's all they're really trying to do, is to create a better life for their children. That's it. They know that it's not going to change. They're just like, I just want you to have a better, I brought you into this world. I just want you to have a better life. And then we hope that we can get older and take care of them, reciprocate even half of what they did for us. It's just one of those things that I wish there were better opportunities, or I figured it out earlier in my life where my parents were still young and I would be able to take care of them. I think that's one of the things that I'm so aware of, is just time and how it's very slippery. And we just don't understand that sometimes. When I look up at my parents, sometimes I just can't believe, or I'm just watching. I don't know if this happens to you, where all of a sudden they just look super old. You're just like, what happened? What happened? How did you get old? And on the other side, I look at my kids and I'm like, holy crap, when did you become like a real person?
Yeah, they're growing up so fast.
Yeah.
I look at Nico and he's 3 months. But then I can clearly remember the day we were in the hospital. He was like this super tiny little thing. And now he's He's huge. He can't
Yeah.
even fit in his like little carriage anymore.
Lucky Boys Podcast.